Kyle Pitts was supposed to be a unicorn, a generational talent at tight end with wide receiver 1 upside. But here we are heading into year 4, and we're still waiting for that true breakout. In today's film breakdown, I'm diving into what's really going on with Pitts. Is it bad usage, QB play, or something deeper? Let's look at the tape and see if there's still hope for Kyle Pitts to become a dynasty stud, or if it's finally time to move on.
Hey.
Alright guys, before we hop into this first play from Kyle Pitts, which is pretty impressive guys, I want to go over a brief overview of Kyle Pitts as a player, just kind of his athletic profile and his size, if you aren't super familiar with him. Kyle Pitts is 6'6", 245 pounds, and ran a 4.49 40. He's an upper echelon type of athlete that it really pops off on tape. I know people say that he's been fading as an athlete and he looks slow after the injuries. And guys, from the film that I've watched, he looks as explosive as ever. And like I said, coming out of Florida, he was a top 10 pick, and he was supposed to be this unicorn type of tight end that was going to give us like ridiculous numbers. He's like a generational tight end. And so far, you know, he had 1,000 yards as a rookie, but since then he's been fairly underwhelming. Some injuries, some misusage in my opinion. But let's go ahead and get into this first play. So this is Kyle Pitts on a corner route here, and he's versus a safety for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I believe. And it's a kind of an interesting play concept because they have Drake London in motion, and he's running this kind of slant route. I don't know if this is supposed to be mesh or not because this guy's on a shallow cross, and then Bijan's just going to come out in the flat as the check down, and then this guy's just running an outside release go ball. Now, you're going to notice, I'll go over the defense real quick. This is straight man-to-man coverage, pretty much all across the board. And something, you would think this is cover 2-man just based on what they're doing, but they're actually running a double team on Drake London, and you just have the one deep safety here. So you're going to see what Kyle Pitts does versus this safety. He absolutely bodies him. He shows that athleticism. So they put Drake London in motion. Great releases. That's one thing I saw on tape time and time again. Kyle Pitts' release packages are very fast for his size. And you already see this defensive back here getting a little handsy with Kyle Pitts already off the line. That's not really going to work out for him. So crosses his face, basically throws the DB on the ground, wide open on the corner route. Not the best throw. Kind of, you know, was in the air a little bit more. I'd like to throw him open a little bit more, and then Kyle Pitts stiff arms him for the easy touchdown. I'll show you this, guys, one more time. This is an absolute beauty of a play from Kyle Pitts, just to show you, like, he can be fast as a receiver, but at that size, we want to see him play big. We want to see him play physical, and just puts that guy on the ground and just touchdown. Beautiful play from Kyle Pitts here. All right, guys, looking at this second play from Kyle Pitts, it really showcases his yak ability and his ability to fight through tackles, fight through contact, which is something that we saw at Florida a ton. So in this play, guys, he's going to be running a crossing route across the middle of the field. Drake London's here on this out route. This guy's going to be motioning across the formation and just kind of sit out in this flat area. And then Ray McLeod, I believe that's who that is kind of outside release and then cutting back inside. And Bijan's actually, I don't think he has a route here. I think he's just checking protection. But in terms of the defense, it's basic cover 3 zone here. So you got your 3 deep safeties, got your underneath coverage here by your backs here. So got your hard flats and your underneath hook zone coverages from your linebackers. And watch Kyle Pitts. This is a pretty good ball from Kirk Cousins as well on time. You'll see Kyle Pitts get off the line fairly quickly. Cuts very well. Guys, as a Kyle Pitts doubter before I started diving into the film, Kyle Pitts has some very sharp route running, and he showcases this. Very good cut. And Kirk Cousins puts it right on his, basically right here in the face mask. And you see 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders here versus Kyle Pitts. This is going to somehow be a touchdown. I know it doesn't look like it's going to be, but it's going to be a touchdown. Watch what Kyle Pitts does. Shakes off that tackle, uses some of his agility, which for a big guy, like I said, 6'6", 245 pounds, surprisingly elusive. Stiff arms that tackle away. I know the Buccaneers defense was pretty bad last year, guys, but these are still NFL athletes. Now, I will say a little bit of a lapse in judgment here, kind of slows down, gets the ball. I absolutely despise when players do this, when they just, go to drop the ball at the end zone. Excuse me, guys. You've seen it happen all the time. JT did it last year where they'll just drop the ball at the goal line. Definitely never needs to do this again. Thankfully, in this case, he didn't drop the ball until after he crossed the plane, and it was ruled a touchdown. But I'm not going to focus on that too much. It's something that he's going to have to fix. But great cut here. Great throw by Kirk Cousins right in between these two linebackers here. Pretty dangerous throw. And just showcases that yak ability and the speed, the agility, the contact balance is all there. All pretty elite stuff from Kyle Pitts in this play. So this is a bad play from Kyle Pitts. Actually ends up resulting in a turnover. And this is something that from time to time I do see from Kyle Pitts. It's his ability to catch in traffic. His hands aren't the most sure thing in the world. So that's one of the things that he's going to have to pick up. As an athlete, he has all of the tools to be great, but he's going to have to sure up his hands a little bit. So pretty basic concept here on the red zone. You got double slants here on the left side of the formation from these two receivers here. Bijan's just running towards the flat. And then Drake London's, I believe, on a corner route. It could be an out route that he just kind of got more depth in. And then Kyle Pitts is going to be on a out route here as well. And you'll see Penix puts the ball on him, and he ends up juggling the ball, and you'll see what ends up happening when he juggles the ball. Overall, though, great route. We'll see. B's a little physical with the corner, or this is the linebacker in this case, and gets some separation. Penix throws the ball to him, and he seems to catch it, but just loses possession of it and ends up getting picked off. Feel bad for Penix here because this was not his fault at all. It was a great ball. Drake London coming in with the tackle. Pretty impressive from him. But yeah, overall, great route. And pretty good catch from Kyle Pitts in all honesty. But he just really didn't bring the ball into his core and secure it before the tackle was made by this linebacker here. And especially just let it be an incomplete pass. The last thing you want to do is basically throw it up in the air. So pretty bad judgment from Kyle Pitts here, and he's going to have to protect the ball. And that also has to say, like, sometimes when he gets the ball, he's, concentration drops, I guess would be the word, but he kind of had that. He just was focused too much on after the catch than actually bringing the ball, and that's something that he's going to have to work on. All right, so here's another bad play from Kyle Pitts. The throw is a little high, but it goes right through his hands here. But in all honesty, guys, I looked at pretty much every single target for Kyle Pitts this year, and I didn't see a lot of bad film. I really didn't. I was expecting to find some just based on, he had a couple of 0 fantasy point games this past year, and, he just did not put good numbers up on the stat sheet at all. So I was expecting to see a lot of bad film. And I'm kind of leaning towards the Falcons just not utilizing him properly because I see the speed, I see the route running, I see the physicality in his routes when he needs it, I see the agility after the catch. He has all the tools here, But in this case, you know, there are some instances where he's running some out routes and the throw comes in a little late and he's unable to bring the ball in just because the corner's already jumped it or the linebacker's already jumped it to make a play. That's honestly a really hard catch for any guy, including tight ends. So I don't really knock him for that much, but overall I thought the film was really good for Kyle Pitts. So let's just finally break down this play real quick. So we got Darnell Mooney on a deep post. We've got Ray McLeod just running a go route here. Drake London is on a deep in route. And then Kyle Pitts is going to check this guy, kind of bump into him, and then run out to the flat. And then for Bijan here, he's just going to run out to the flat here. This is versus cover 3 from the Buccaneers. They do like to run this coverage. Then you'll have him playing like this robber. You got your underneath coverage here. Right. And you'll see Kyle Pitts is pretty wide open here. So not much on the block really. Doesn't really get to square him up just because of the angle, which is fine. He still, you know, pushes him a little bit. And you see Kyle Pitts is wide open with nobody even close to him. Bijan's also going to get wide open here too, but Levante David's kind of staring him down. So Kirk Cousins already looking this way. It's kind of a flood concept for the Falcons here. So Kirk Cousins is looking at this area of the field here. So usually probably not throwing it to the running back here. And Kirk does put a little bit too much on this. And, you know, he kind of has to jump up to get it a little bit. Very good recovery from these backs here. So Kyle Pitts maybe gets 8 to 10 yards out of this, but we've seen what he can do after the catch, so who knows? This could be a touchdown. But he lets it go right through his hands. He does put his shoulder into this defensive back and put him on the ground. Kind of showcases his physicality and his strength here, but you got to come down with this if you're a tight end. And that's one thing about Kyle Pitts that I can nitpick with him is his hands aren't the most sure thing. You know, he's not going to bring in these crazy contested catches or jump balls from, you know, not very consistently, guys. He's not a jump ball type of tight end. He's an elite athlete receiving threat where he can beat people down the field, run really good routes, and gain separation that way. Super fast as well. He's not your jump ball guy usually, but can't let this go through your hands here. I know it's kind of a tough catch because it's right over your head, but Kyle Pitts needs to catch this, and he's going to have to get better with his hands, I think. And if he's able to do that and the Falcons can stop using him in line so much, I think Kyle Pitts can be a top 5 tight end in the NFL easily. I have heard some rumors that they are taking trade offers from teams, and teams seem to be interested in him. And if teams are watching the tape on him, I can see why they want to trade for him, because I think the Falcons are massively misusing Kyle Pitts. And yeah, he's got some hand issues here and there, but in terms of the athleticism and the receiving upside, it's absolutely through the roof. So after watching the tape, the talent is absolutely still there. Pitts is explosive, physical, and creates mismatches all over the field. He just needs a coaching staff and QB who actually know how to use him. If the Falcons finally figure it out, or if he ends up on a more competent offense, I still believe Kyle Pitts can be a top 5 tight end in fantasy. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and if you've enjoyed the breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to join the Bobby's Big Board Discord. The link is in the description. Appreciate you guys watching as always, and I will catch you guys in the next one.
Hey.